What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you once again for another week of picks here on Every Day We're Covering. SJ, not our best week last week. We fully admitted that on the pod, but we're looking to bounce back here. And I don't know. I wrote a pretty long list down when I was looking at ones that I was thinking about playing. So I think there's a lot to look at this week.
Yeah, unlike some, we're all about honesty and transparency. So we know those bad weeks are bound to happen. Unfortunately, we try to avoid them the best we can. So we'll to bounce back here this week, and I think we got some good plays for you here coming up.
Yeah, should be some fun, and there'll be obviously some fun games in there, and some that'll be surprises like they were last week that are more fun than we thought they would be. But I'll kick it off here. First one that I was going to take a look at, and I'm not overly confident in this game, but I just think one team's not very good, so that's why I'm going this way. I'm going to take Michigan. They're laying 10 against Minnesota. It is at home for Michigan. Minnesota has really struggled. They obviously took one on the chin last week there to Iowa, ran all over them, and that's what Michigan's going to do too. So I like the Wolverines to cover there. That's my first one.
Yeah, especially after that second half last week, it would be hard to give any confidence in Minnesota. I'm going to start on Friday night and that Washington Rutgers matchup that we talked about on earlier this week on the pod of just being kind of intriguing. I'm going to go ahead and take Washington straight up. I think there's a little bit more value there than when taking the points, and I do honestly think they're the better team when you look at their only loss being to an undefeated Washington State squad, excuse me. And Rutgers had a little bit of a tough time with maybe I guess if you're going to be generous, call them an average Virginia Tech team. So I think Washington's the better team here, and they'll win it outright. So I'm going to go ahead and take them on that Friday night game.
All right, yeah, fun one to get the weekend started. Next one that I had on my list, I'm going to go with a team that really surprised us last week, and BYU. I laid the whooping on K State. Now they go on the road to take on Baylor, and they're getting points, 3.5. And I think you may discuss here maybe going even a little bit further than that too. And I'm not in disagreement really, but yeah, Cougars are the better team here. Baylor's really struggling, and I think their season's going to go nothing but downhill after that unfortunate ending to their game last week.
Yeah, when you lose a game like that, you can kind of see the wheels falling off, and I don't think much was thought of Baylor heading into the season to begin with. So, I mean, the writing's on the wall there, at least in my mind. I'm going to go ahead and take BYU to win straight up. Wanted to pick them here a couple weeks ago. We talked about just weren't confident enough, but after the way they played, especially last week and even just overall this whole season, I'm pretty confident in them getting the win here. And I'm going to go ahead, like you said, just be a little bit more bullish and take them straight up.
Yeah, and next one that I had on my list here, I'm gonna go with my guy here and Asa and back the Pokes. I think it's a bounce back week here for Okie State. Unfortunate way the game played out for them last week against Utah, but Utah's a good team. And I think they recover. Obviously, K-State took a much more demoralizing loss there in that game to BYU. It is in Manhattan. That makes it a little tougher, and they always play well there, it seems like. But I think Oklahoma State's the better team. I think they're going to figure some things out. It's been a little bit rough for them to get the running game going again because their line's not near as good as they were last year. But they've got enough weapons to get it done. They're getting 5 points as well, so it makes me feel even better. I'm going to go Okie State and getting the +5.
Yeah, this was kind of like that BYU line where I was like, if they're actually getting points, a little bit of a head scratcher, but I still think they are the better team. I'm just gonna tail that right there. Same thing. I'm gonna take the 5 points. I do think they could win outright, but I'll go ahead and be a little safe for this one. Don't want to get over my skis after last week, so I'll go ahead and be chill and take the 5, and then I'll just follow up since I'm basically tailing you. I'll give another pick here with the team we mentioned before, or at least a team that Baylor lost to Colorado. So I'm gonna stick with that Colorado UCF matchup. 63.5 was the total. I'm going to go overs on that one big time. I think that's a defense need not apply type of game, or it's just going to who has the ball last will probably end up getting the win because honestly, outside of maybe one game here, Colorado has actually looked fairly decent. I mean, I know it's kind of been some slop things, but they haven't played the best teams. But I could see them winning this. I still don't know how good of a team they're, and I don't think they're that. I really don't think they're that good, but they do only have one loss. So I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility that they win. But regardless, our concern is hitting that total. So let's just score a lot of points, please.
Yeah, I think that will happen. Not your traditional Big 12 teams, obviously, by any means, but it's that old school Big 12 shootout type of feel in that one. Offense, yeah, you're going to win the day. I like that. Next one that I had that I was a team I guess I just referenced in my last pick. Utah obviously looked very good last week in their win over Oklahoma State. Let things slip a little bit at the end of the game. They probably could have put it away earlier had they not, let off the gas a little. But they're tough. I mean, they just play tough. Their defense is always solid, and this is a night game at home. And that does not bode well for anybody that ends up going there. Arizona's coming to town. I know they've got a couple of good offensive weapons, but it's not going to be near enough to keep pace with this Utah team. They're laying 7.5, and I don't mind laying it.
Yeah, right here, my next play would be more like March Madness time or something we might do here coming up in the winter. But Duke and North Carolina are meeting up here. Duke is three-point favorite. I'm gonna take them to cover that. This may be a little bit of a knee jerk type of deal, but North Carolina did not only. I mean, the fact that they lost by the number they lost by, but just if you go back and even just you watch some of the game or just even the highlights, it was just kind of like one of those like what is going on? Like, what are they doing? Totally lost on the field. Obviously there's no communication. Players kind of just running everywhere. Just that's the type of stuff if you see that, 3 to 4 weeks into the season, that's not a good sign going forward. So I think Duke might win this fairly easily, and I'll pick them to cover that 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win by 2 scores.
Yeah, there's been a little turmoil rumbling behind the scenes there for Carolina too, so that never helps. And yeah, I have not been impressed when I've seen them. That one that they eked out with some wild happenings against Minnesota earlier in the year too. I like that. And this is a game I know both of us are going to comment on here. Oregon UCLA. I'm going to go over on the total here just because Oregon, I think, is going to put up some points. UCLA has not proven that they can play much defense. And I feel like they'll probably put up a few points because Oregon has let some teams score, but they'll keep the pedal on the gas, I think, here in this one. 55.5 is the number, so not too high. I like that to go over.
And we did our big number experiment a little bit. And in these situations, as far as this game, it was covered more times than it wasn't. So I got to play the trend the other way this time. And I do think Oregon, not that it's kind of been their MO anyways, but especially after last week, they're really trying to kind of make up for those first 2 lackluster victories, with just barely kind of, at least by their standards, kind of just squeaking by there. So I think style points are going to be a major thing going forward with a team like that. So 24 is the number to cover, at least when I made the play. I don't know if it's moved since then, but I played it at 24. I do think they'll cover that. UCLA is just not good. I know they have, kind of new coaching staff in place, so give them some time. But at this time, they're not going to be able to hang with Oregon at this point in their program.
Yeah, I like that there as well. It's Oregon probably the much better team, I just don't think things are going well at all there at UCLA. It's going to be a while before they recover. I know you are looking at another team, maybe on that big number line, the team that's played very well, SJ.
Yeah. They got Texas. It pains me to pick them anytime I have to, but if it's talking putting money in our pockets, we got to go ahead and give them a chance, right? So the Mississippi State's coming to town, and after the way they looked against Florida, I mean, I know they kind of hung around, I guess, if you want to call it that, within 2 touchdowns at some point, but Florida is not Texas. Texas is pretty much covered every week, in numbers that are, 28, 30 plus. So I think they can do it again this week. Another team kind of out of Oregon's ilk that's going to really kind of run it up here and make a statement here early on. I think they can do that. And then just the last pick I have, I don't know if you had any more here, but that big, probably most of the eyeballs will be on this week, the Alabama-Georgia game. I like Alabama. They're getting 2.5 points. I wanted to pick them outright, but after last week, we got to be chill. I'm going to take them to, give them that 2.5. And I think they will win outright though.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I had wrote that one down on my sheet and was kind of like, that's probably one I'm going to play. I'm not going to come out on the show with it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to follow you right along with that one. I think that Milroe is the difference there. They've got a quarterback that's playing well. Georgia's been a little bit shaky, obviously, and the defense is what's been shaky, which is interesting. So I think that favors Bama, especially there at home. A couple other ones that I just wanted to mention that I'm looking at that I may play come weekend time. Obviously, this is a reactionary thing as well to the other side of that Carolina game. James Madison's laying 20 against Ball State. Ball State hasn't played very well at all, and James Madison obviously looks like a fairly legit offense. So I think they can do that. I'll probably look at that one to see if the number comes down a little bit too. Another one, very disappointing team from last week, Oklahoma Auburn. I think that's going to be a low scoring game because I think those offenses stink. The number's not real high, 45.5, so it's probably going to get testy, but I would like to play the under on that game, I think. And then also one I was looking at, North Texas laying 6.5 against Tulsa. I saw Tulsa play a little bit earlier this year. They did not look very cohesive at all. So I think North Texas is the better team. That's one that I'm going to take a peek at there as well. Another game I think that is interesting for folks just to keep an eye on because of obviously the news here this week, that Fresno State UNLV game. How do you? I mean, I'm not going to touch it, but I think. How do you react to that? Because it's going to go one way or the other. Either the team is going to have too much distraction going on and it's going to get in their way, or those other guys are going to be like, screw those guys. We don't need them. We're going to go out and prove that we can go win this game without them. That's a really interesting situation.
Well, I mean, even it seemed like you saw USC, lose a defensive lineman here over the last couple of days, kind of going that same route of wanting a red shirt. I mean, I know he's not starting, I don't believe, or getting the playing time that the quarterback was at UNLV, but still, that's got to be a little bit of a disruption. And, we mentioned USC as a whole kind of, are they for real or are they not after last week's? And they got a kind of the same thing that might have hurt them last week is going to be staring them in the face here with the Wisconsin team that, maybe they were trying to be more of a balanced team, but it seems like they've more kind of, we got to go back to what we're good at and let's run the ball. And that's probably what they're going to be doing this week. And then Louisville, Notre Dame. I don't know if either of these teams are good. Of course, they got a number by their name, but we're just, we got to find out here a little bit of a rubber meets the road type of game. Those are a couple of games I also watch. Even that Friday night, I know I spoke poorly of the Hokies, but they've always kind of been at Miami's butt, kind of ruined a few seasons for them. And just things get wacky on a Friday night. I experienced it myself last week. So those Friday night games, you don't really know what to expect. It's abnormal. It's unusual. And just, teams that is a traditional, I mean, I guess it would have been the Big East for a lot longer. But an ACC matchup, if you will, those teams know each other well. So that there's going to be nothing, that's up for anything that's going to be like a surprise. It's not happening with those two teams.
Yeah, no love lost there. That's for sure. Be interesting. Lots of fun games to watch. We hope that you have some fun making some plays, and we hope you do it along with us. Feel free to shout us out if you've got something that's on your plate that you're really looking at. Obviously, you see the handles there at Cherokee CP, at SJM Bets on Twitter. So hit us up there. And, of course, we'd appreciate if you subscribe, get those notifications here on these picks each and every week here on YouTube. And then, of course, you can listen to the pod here and on other platforms, including our host there at Spotify. So we appreciate it if you join us each and every week. Sunday, we kind of give you the recap and talk about the games of the week, and then we give you these picks here during the week. So hope we have a lot of fun with it, and hope we'll be raising some joyful beverages when we come to the pod next week.
And I mean, not the top of the line here, but there's some fights. I'll probably put out some picks here, UFC and boxing, just, decent action. My always helps to have a little more plays out there if football doesn't go our way.
Yeah, and if you're peeking at something else, I know we're getting to the end of the baseball season, all kinds of things going on. So, yeah, feel free to give us a little inkling of what you're thinking on any other athletic event as well that you can place a wager on. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another week of picks here on Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.